Hi everyone, welcome to our another podcast. Today we are talking about Australia and especially we have Mr. Thomas Dunlop who is a general manager who is from the Kaplan University Partnerships. Hi Thomas.
Hi, Swati. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so we are here today to know more about Australia, universities, scholarships, admissions, and a lot about the current situation. So that will be more helpful for our students to get deep dive and understand the procedures and the university selection process. And this is going to help us a lot.
Yeah, I hope so. I am Australian and I've been working in international education for nearly 20 years. And I
Oh,
was an international student myself. So hopefully I can apply a little bit of that experience to the questions that we have today.
that will be absolutely great.
Nice.
So we have a couple of questions on behalf of students. So we would like to hear from you. So that is more helpful to us.
Sure.
So going with the first question, what makes Australia on the top study destination for the international students?
Nice. And I know that I-20 is an incredibly experienced agency sending students to North America and across the UK and Europe, I assume. And maybe students in Hyderabad and this part of India, they don't know too much about Australia. And so let me hopefully convince you to consider some of the benefits of choosing to study in Australia. If I could sum it up into only three things, and really there's like, I could talk about 20 or even 50 reasons, but if we were to condense it to three things, the first is obviously access to a world-class education system.
Yeah.
Australia is modelled, it's a Commonwealth country, so actually we have a lot in common with India and the education system here. But because it is modelled on the British system, there's a lot of similarity. So you can understand it from that angle. We have a lot of very well-regarded universities in the world, some of the best universities in the world, the top 100, whether you're looking at US World News or QS or any of the major global ranking systems. Australia is consistently predominantly in the top 100 or top 200.
Yeah.
The organisation that I work for, Kaplan University Partnerships Australia and New Zealand, we have 5 university partners across Australia and New Zealand. 4 of them are in Australia. I'll focus on them. 3 of them are top 300 institutions, and I'll start with the highest ranked institution, which is the incredible Adelaide University.
Okay.
The most recent QS rankings that just came out, they jumped ahead another 6 places. So they are now top 80 in the world. One of Australia's founding universities. They are a member of the Group of 8. If you're someone who's familiar with like the US system, it's kind of like the Ivy League concept in the US or Russell Group in the UK. So very well regarded, good reputation. Second, we have the University of Newcastle on the East Coast, top 250 in the world. And then last but not least, we have Swinburne University of Technology in the most popular city in Australia for Indian international students. My hometown, Melbourne, beautiful place, great coffee, by the way. And then last but certainly not least, rounding out our 4 university partners is Murdoch University on the west coast of Australia in Perth. So that's the first, sorry, very long answer on that one. Second would be the environment. So Australia is very safe, multicultural. Modern Australia is a very multicultural society. We are built on a former colony of Britain that was built on migration and skilled migration, particularly over the last 50 years or so. So it's a society where you will feel at home. If you miss your mum's cooking or, you know, you want to get a chai that tastes like the incredible chai that's here in Hyderabad, you can do that quite easily in Australia. And then third would be the opportunity to stay in Australia once you've finished your studies and use the post-study work visa.
Right.
Yeah.
So as you said, like students need to feel home. Australia is always a home for our Indian students.
Yeah,
They
absolutely.
feel more comfortable over there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And there are good universities, what you mentioned earlier. So, and what is the, a factor a student should, keep in mind before selecting a course or a university?
Yeah. So I've talked a lot about ranking, and that is an easy thing because you can see it, but you've got to think about what you can feel as well. What are you passionate about? What excites you? What gets you motivated and you're willing to put in the extra effort that it is going to take to get a university degree, because it's not easy to complete a bachelor's or a master's degree. And the more you go through that from year 1 to year 2, it gets progressively more difficult. So if you are passionate about what you are studying, that passion will help you face that challenge head on. So you definitely want to be studying something that is related to your interests.
Yeah.
I love your mum and dad funding your degree studies, but don't just do something for mum and dad. Do something that also fulfills your passions.
Right. They need to follow their passion
Absolutely.
always,
Yeah.
and what their interest takes them. And what do you think a student, when they start doing the application process, what kind of mistakes that students do, and that leads the application take more longer time to get the decision?
Yeah, very good question and very timely question. So the Australian government, since we reopened our borders after COVID, a lot of
Right.
policy changes have happened, and we've had a change of government as well. So we went from what's called a Liberal government to a Labor government in Australia, which sounds like it's getting more conservative. It's actually the opposite. So Liberals were the conservative ones, Labors are not. But let's not talk politics. What has happened in this changing policy setting is that the visa application process has become much more selective,
Okay.
and students need to prepare and families need to prepare well in advance. So you can't prepare last minute. That's the first point I want to make. Don't be deciding, okay, in 2 months or 3 months' time, I want to go in Australia. That's not realistic. For families preparing to study in Australia in 2027 or beyond, you need to prepare a lot of very detailed financial evidence.
Yeah.
And that takes time to prepare. And typically, the Department of Home Affairs in Australia, or DHA, it's called, that's the visa department, they are going to be looking at financial documentation and savings and proof of funds from a months-long view. So that takes time to prepare. So that's the first point. The other one is, I know we live in a ChatGPT world now.
Yeah.
Don't
True.
use ChatGPT to write your SOP. An SOP is a statement of purpose. Those would be my two tips.
Actually, my next question was about the financial part.
Okay, we can keep
you
going.
already covered in your this answer.
But it's
So basically, the process is like about the question is all about like how important the financial documents are for the admission as well as the visa process
Yeah, I
in
think-
Australia. There are a lot of changes or a lot of things we are hearing about it. So we just want to know about it.
Yeah, and I think it is so important that it's good that we can spend a couple of questions talking about it. It is probably, along with your intention, your genuine intention to study something that you are interested in and passionate about, and you can see yourself graduating and working in that field, the financial piece of the puzzle is very important from two perspectives. And I like to break the financial piece, if you will, into two categories. One is the finances you need to get your visa.
Yeah.
That's the first one. The second is the finances you need to thrive in Australia as an international student. So those are two different but related concepts. Don't think about your finances purely from the visa perspective.
Right.
Yes, there are requirements and metrics that you need to prove. You need to have enough money. You need to be able to demonstrate that you have access to enough money to support you while you're in Australia. You need proof of your tuition. You also need proof that you can access that money quickly and readily if you need it. So if it is tied up in stocks or loans or other types of investments that you can't, that's not going to be good enough.
Right.
The second is you want to be able to support yourself while you're studying. So that's a more longer term view than just the visa. So those would be, I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. So financials are the key factor for Australia, especially.
Yeah.
So
Especially
that
now.
makes, especially now. Yeah. So here comes our next question. What would you suggest the students who want to get a job after their graduation? Like what advice you want to give to them?
It's the easiest question of the lot. Study with Kaplan.
Not joking. Okay, there's a little bit of tongue in cheek in my answer, but trusting Kaplan to be a part of your journey, whether you are studying one of our pathway colleges, our foundation, our diploma, or our pre-masters programs, which are excellent, and we have been running these programs for upwards of 20 years in Australia. So we have a very long history of offering these. Outside of the academics, Kaplan gives you access to career preparation from very early in your journey. It is highly unusual for students studying in Australia to begin engaging with career services and attending career fairs in year one. At Kaplan, in year one, semester one, we have these kinds of opportunities for our students. So we will help you begin thinking about your future from when you first arrive in Australia, pretty much that first intake, which is really important. But attached to that, I think more importantly is it will we will help you feel comfortable with the Australian employment culture, because it's going to be very different for what you're used to here in India. Australian, you can hear my accent. You're going to have to be getting familiar with the way that Australians talk, the style. We're much more informal than our British former overlords. It's a completely different cultural shift that students will have to get used to. The other piece of advice that I have is don't wait for opportunities to come to you. You have to actively
grab the opportunities.
Absolutely.
They need to be more proactive in the classes
Yeah.
and reaching out to the professors, and they need to do a lot of homework that they need to approach. The approach is more important.
Yeah. And what do we mean by that? Because it's easy to say be proactive, but what do we mean? When you turn up to class, you're going to be in a big lecture hall, sit in the front. Put yourself in a position where the opportunity will be visible to you, and you will be visible to the professor or the tutor or whoever it might be that will be talking about that particular opportunity. Be curious. Internship opportunities will come your way. Work integrated learning opportunities will come your way. Be up for it. And that will lead to better outcomes.
Right, absolutely. So, like most of the students who opt Australia, they have in mind that long-term settlement, like getting a PR, permanent residency. Is that only the factor, or students need to focus on any other things about Australia? Is that only the PR thing, or any other things?
Yeah, well, Australia is a fantastic place for you to begin your professional career. And if you choose to invest your time and your mum and dad's money in an Australian education, then as a way of thanking you for that investment, the Australian government gives every international student the opportunity to apply for what's called a 485 post-study work visa.
Right.
And this can be anywhere from 3 years to 5. In some places, it can be up to 6 years, depending on where you study. Some of our university partners are in regional locations, and a regional location makes it sound like they're in a village or some tiny faraway place, but these are cities with millions of people.
Right.
So they're very big cosmopolitan places with very strong economies. And so it's a environment where international students, have the system or the process that they can apply to stay in Australia and work on a 485 visa. And we have the economy that supports a good employment environment. So our unemployment rate is 4.4% around about in Australia, which is very healthy. We're a $2 trillion economy, and we only have 28 million people. So it's a very healthy economy for the size of our population. Beyond the post-study work visa, that will obviously relate to your, what we were talking about in the last question, your level of curiosity and leaning in and chasing opportunities and being really proactive about that. But a lot of employers in Australia will sponsor skilled international students.
Right. So, like even after graduation, they look for these kind of opportunities for job opportunities and long-term settlement like PR and stuff. So, what advice you would like to give to the students who are looking for the part-time job opportunities when they are on campus,
Yeah.
when they are studying?
Yeah, I feel like it's two pieces of advice I want to give. First is just on the long-term view, don't wait until your final year. You need to be, if that is your intention, you need to start planning for that from year 1, year 2, and making connections and networking and understanding the employment ecosystem. And then to your second part of that question around part-time work, use the opportunities available at the university that you choose. They will have a careers team. They will have job opportunities available on campus. Many students from the subcontinent that study with us at Kaplan, they actually work part-time with us and get paid very well. Minimum wage in Australia is very good. It's about $32 per hour. So very easy for you to live comfortably on that and pay your rent and your utilities and all of that. Do your best to connect the part-time work with what you're studying, because that completes the picture.
Right, absolutely right. Yeah, I would like to suggest the students to do the part-times, but more focus is on the studies.
Absolutely.
And how about the internship opportunities when they are studying? Like, how would they get into what kind of support the universities offer to the international students?
Very
in
good
Australia?
question. Let's focus on one example, one very practical example. Swinburne University of Technology, a very young university by Australian standards. They're not even 50 years old, and they're already ranked number 24 in terms of the world's young universities that aren't 50. So in a very short space of time, they've done some incredible things. Swinburne are the first university in Australia to guarantee all undergraduate students access to what we call work integrated learning.
Okay.
Work integrated learning at a very high level. We don't have enough time to dive into all of it, but there are 3 types of work integrated learning. The first type is traditional, and it's actually built into the curriculum. So it's every student will have to do that as part of their degree.
Okay.
The second type is internships or placements. And these might be related to what you're studying. They're typically taken as an elective, so that will count towards your degree as well. They're typically unpaid. Okay. The third type is the most popular. At Swinburne, they have about 12 different professional degrees. And what is different about a professional degree versus a general degree is that it will add an additional year to your total studies. But that additional year, you will be working full-time in a well-paid job on your student visa, because it's all part of your program. And you could be earning anywhere between 40 to 60,000 Australian dollars for that year. So Swinburne's a great university if you're really keen on getting that applied learning while you're completing your degree studies. And it's in Melbourne, which I'm not meant to have favorites, but Melbourne is like the best.
It's a favorite place for most of them.
Yeah.
And that too, Indians. Yeah. So, like we have talking about multiple things, like about the admissions. I would like to ask about the scholarship. I missed it.
Yeah.
So, how about the scholarship? How
Absolutely.
the scholarships are released to the students? Is it only the merit based, or any other factors are considered?
Yeah. All of the above. So we recognize that it is a very expensive time to be alive, for starters, but especially for international students choosing to study in Australia. The flow-on effects of the war in the Middle East have obviously put downward pressure on many economies around the world. Australia is no exception. India is no exception. And so we have a very competitive suite of scholarships available to students, anywhere from, it depends on the exact program that they study, but we could say loosely across the Kaplan portfolio, anywhere from 20 to 30% discount would be available. And then, of course, there are merit-based scholarships that could be even more than that.
Oh,
yeah.
That is more beneficial for the students.
Yeah.
And it makes every student, the education is affordable.
Yeah, exactly.
And especially in Australia.
And helps mum and dad. It's an expensive
Absolutely.
investment. So it's important.
Yeah. And we discussed about all these factors related to the university, visa, financials, and everything. How about the culture? Like how diversified the Australian culture is, and how Indian international students are going to fit in Australia.
Yeah.
And we feel like Australia, apart from this, like we are more excited for kangaroos.
Yeah. Okay. Kangaroos and the wildlife.
Kangaroos, yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned kangaroos because a lot of people, when they're learning about Australia, they only ask about snakes and spiders. And I am Australian and I grew up in the countryside and I've only seen a few snakes in my life and spiders. So don't sweat that stuff. Culturally, Australia is a very proud multicultural society. In my own experience, I went to a high school that encouraged me to learn a foreign language. And because of that, from a very early age, had opportunities to go and study overseas and become engaged in international education, which has led me to where I am now.
Okay.
And that's something that I'm very proud of. It's something that I encourage my other family members to engage in. My young nephews, they're all, I'm trying to encourage them to lean into this beautiful society that we live in. You won't miss any of the homemade stuff that you get back here in India because that will be readily available on your doorstep. The coffee culture in Australia, the sporting culture in Australia, it's all incredibly delicious and exciting and easy for international students to engage with.
That's like all about, student fitting into Australia made it easier for them. Like, it's diversified. What I can say is like everyone can fit in over there.
Yeah.
So that was like all about Australia. We have heard from farmers. So it was like very, very beneficial for us. So we are hoping students look forward to study in Australia.
Yeah, really lovely talking to you, Swati. And I hope you consider choosing Australia. We'd love to have you down under.
And that was absolutely fine. That student choose in this situation was, is happening in and around the world. And this is the right time to, globally, go and study abroad, get more information, go into the higher education level. So this is the right time, what I feel is.
Agreed.
Yeah. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you for joining
Thanks so much.
us.
My
And
pleasure.
it's a pleasure to have you in our office.
Me too.
And
Thank
giving
you.
more information about Australia.
Thank you.
Thank you.